welcome back to Wrestling Flash. In this WWE and all things wrestling video we are going to look at Roman Reigns angrily sends a message to Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes set to destroy Roman Reigns. Brock Lesnar's return date leaked. The Undertaker wants Bray Wyatt to return, and more. First, let's start with The Undertaker wants Bray Wyatt to return. WWE legend The Undertaker hopes that Bray Wyatt returns to Vince McMahon's company somewhere down the line. Bray Wyatt was let go by WWE in mid-2021, in a release that left the WWE Universe heartbroken. Wyatt was one of the most creative stars in the company and had a lot to offer. The 34-year-old hasn't stepped foot in the ring ever since he was released by WWE. At WrestleMania Access during WrestleMania 38 weekend, the Deadman opened up about Wyatt and had significant praise for him. Bray Wyatt, I hope things get worked out with him somewhere because he is a phenomenal talent. And I think he has a lot to offer to this industry. So hopefully, at some point, he comes home, he said. The Undertaker disappeared from WWE TV after Brock Lesnar ended his legendary winning streak at WrestleMania 30. As WrestleMania 31 loomed closer, Bray Wyatt set his sights on the Phenom. Wyatt delivered a series of cryptic promos on the road to WrestleMania, eventually challenging him to a match at the mega event. The Deadman accepted the challenge and made his long-anticipated return at the Show of Shows. At WrestleMania 31, Bray Wyatt suffered a defeat at the hands of the WWE veteran. This was their only singles outing in WWE. Later that same year, the Wyatt family took on the Brothers of Destruction at Survivor Series. Wyatt's luck against the Deadman didn't change this time around either, and he suffered another loss. Bray Wyatt tasted top title gold on several occasions during his WWE run. He is a former WWE champion as well as a two-time Universal Champion. His final match in WWE was against Randy Orton at WrestleMania 37 last year. Do you agree with the Phenom? Should WWE bring back Bray Wyatt for another run in the distant future? Sound off in the comments. Brock Lesnar's return date leaked. Former WWE champion Brock Lesnar and other prominent superstars are speculated to be appearing at Money in the Bank 2022. This year's edition will be the biggest in the event's history as WWE brings its production to Las Vegas Allegiant Stadium, a venue with a capacity of around 65,000. To ensure that ticket sales are up to the company's expectations, they are sure to want as many eyes on the event as possible, meaning they'll need some big draws on the card. Per PW Insider, WWE has been distributing promotional material in the Las Vegas area with a number of superstars present in the advertisements. The likes of Roman Reigns, Bianca Belair, Ronda Rousey, and Charlotte Flair are all shown on the material, implying that they may compete at the event. Another recognizable face on the advertisement is Brock Lesnar, which could indicate that the Beast Incarnate will be returning to WWE following his loss to Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania 38. It is unclear at present what Lesnar's involvement in Money in the Bank will be, but it will almost certainly be in a high-profile program. Brock's last appearance in WWE was at WrestleMania 38, where he was defeated by the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. A match had a winner-takes-all stipulation that led to Reigns unifying the WWE and Universal Champions, though they have faced off several times before. A contest with this much on the line was appropriately billed the biggest WrestleMania match in history. Reigns and Lesnar had previously met in the main event of the Show of Shows twice, at WrestleMania 31 and 34 respectively. Given these circumstances, rumors are sure to run rampant about another rematch between the two men, especially given the recent Money in the Bank promotional material. What are your thoughts on Brock Lesnar's potential return? Did you enjoy the main event of WrestleMania Sunday? You can share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Cody Rhodes behaves like the Kardashians. Vince Russo believes Cody Rhodes should have returned to WWE as a heel due to his lavish lifestyle away from the ring. The 36-year-old appeared on his own reality series, Rhodes to the Top, alongside his wife Brandi on TNT in 2021. The show revolved around the married couple's roles in AEW and the challenges they faced after becoming parents for the first time. Russo, WWE's former head writer, told Sportskeeda Wrestling's Dr. Chris Featherstone that Rhodes represented two things in the series: money and power. He also compared the two-time Intercontinental Champion to reality show veterans the Kardashians. When I was watching Rhodes to the Top, Cody Rhodes was the Kardashians, bro, said Russo. That's exactly who he was. Who walks around their house wearing a suit? Who does that? Who has their own bus with their picture on the side of it? He was a 100% heel, and anybody that saw this lifestyle, they saw money. Despite being presented as a babyface, Cody Rhodes often received negative crowd reactions during the final few months of his 3-year stint in AEW. Elaborating on his previous point, Vince Russo added that fans booed the former AEW executive vice president because they could not relate to his wealth. If you don't have money and you're going to your 9-to-5 and you're behind on your bills and you're busting your back, you hate those people, Russo continued. You hate those people with the money. What is so hard about that? bro. What is so hard to understand that the blue-collar worker hates anybody that represents money? It's really simple. Although AEW fans disliked Rhodes' on-screen character, he has received hugely positive reactions so far since returning to WWE. On the latest episode of Raw, fans interrupted his promo segment alongside The Miz with multiple chants of Cody. Roman Reigns angrily sends a message to Cody Rhodes. Roman Reigns isn't a fan of Cody Rhodes if his actions on last night's edition of Raw are any indication. After Raw went off the air last night, the Bloodline competed in a six-man tag team match against Drew McIntyre and The New Day. Roman Reigns and the Usos suffered a loss against the Babyfaces after McIntyre hit a Claymore on one of the twins. An interesting short clip was shared by a fan who attended the show last night. In the video, the Tribal Chief can be seen ripping up a Cody Rhodes fan sign. Reigns then handed over the ripped sign to one of the Usos, who threw it back at the fan. Back in 2013, Reigns and Seth Rollins were a part of The Shield. The duo engaged in a lengthy feud with Cody Rhodes and Goldust over the WWE Tag Team titles. On the October 14, 2013 episode of Raw, Rhodes and Goldust defeated Reigns and Rollins to win the Tag Team Championship. However, it should be noted that the Head of the Table and the American Nightmare have never faced each other in a singles match. Cody Rhodes parted ways with WWE in 2016. By then, Reigns had already become a top star and had headlined 2 WrestleManias, while the former Intercontinental Champion was making a name for himself outside the WWE umbrella. The Tribal Chief was steadily turning into a megastar in the company. He's truly gotten over via consistency and via hard work. What he has going now with Paul Heyman and the Usos, it's a very intimidating presence. It exists. There's a match out there. That is likely the match that exists out there. But before the mock, you have to cross paths in some capacity, and we haven't yet. And I look forward to that, said Cody. Reigns is currently the undisputed WWE Universal Champion and has been unstoppable for about 2 years. It remains to be seen if WWE will pit these two top stars against each other in the near future. Do you want to see a full-fledged feud between Reigns and Rhodes? What would be your reaction if the American Nightmare ends up defeating Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal title? Let us know in the comments section below. Cody Rhodes set to destroy Roman Reigns. Vince Russo thinks WWE should recruit a big AEW name to prevent Cody Rhodes from defeating Roman Reigns. Rhodes' next high-profile match is set to be against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania Backlash on May 8th. Beyond that, the former AEW Executive Vice President has made it clear that he intends to win Reigns' undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Russo, WWE's former head writer, spoke to Sportskeeda Wrestling's Dr. Chris Featherstone about how a Reigns vs. Rhodes match could play out. Discussing the possible finish, he believes someone from Rhodes' AEW past should interfere to add another chapter to the storyline. The ideal situation would be if they could have in their back pocket a pretty big name from AEW whose contract is up. Russo continued, he finally has the big SummerSlam match with Reigns and somebody from AEW that has heat with him. Maybe he kept his thumb on him in AEW. Somebody comes over and SCRWS him in the middle of the match. Vince Russo clarified that the mystery AEW star would have to be someone casual wrestling fans know, such as Jon Moxley. The former WWE writer added that Chris Jericho is another AEW wrestler whose appearance in a Cody Rhodes vs. Roman Reigns match would make sense. It can't be Sammy Guevara, because the casuals are gonna be like, it's not gonna move the needle. It's gotta be like a Moxley or even a Jericho. It's gotta be somebody known that when he had the VIP badge on, he really treated them badly because he forgot he was one of the boys. That's the story that's gotta be told, said Russo. Rhodes defeated The Miz on the latest episode of Raw before being interrupted by Seth Rollins. Following the contest, the two-time Intercontinental Champion accepted Rollins' request to face him in a WrestleMania 38 rematch.